it's the end of the weekend. It's been a really cold weekend, so I've been a bit reluctant to be out there for very long, but as you can tell, got the battens round both sides. I'll just scan over. Battens around both sides. Got the raised deck beam halves in place. Got them laminated up yesterday and glued on today. And some very nice mahogany around the entranceway there. It's a very dark, oily mahogany, so that should be lovely. And that's where we stand. Just scan over there one more time gently. Lots of clamps. Yeah. Well, we're looking at the aft side of the number 9 bulkhead. Just turned it over, so I'll just step up here. You can see the clamps there, clamping mahogany trim that's around that opening there. This opening is where I'm hoping to put, well, not hoping, I'm going to put a quarter berth in on the starboard side. There, so it will run into the cockpit coaming, and I think it will be okay as a quarter berth there. Now, also laid there, I'll just scan across gently. There's the aft deck beam. It's not fixed yet, as you can probably tell. It's just laid there. Those clamps are in the way. They'll have to come out. And then I'm just cutting this floor beam here. I'll come around to the end so you can see it better. If I scan along there, you can see I've got that rebate in there, and it's got another rebate in the opening that the engine room hatch will shut against, and up this end back to the full rebate, so that it'll sit down on the ply and make the floor beam the way we want it. So I'm about to glue that on. This is the aft side, as I said. The forward side is complete, just needs sanding up. Glass and epoxy on the ply, but the trim all needs sanding up. This side I'm about to start fitting. I said that floor beam, the battens around that deck beam, and the pieces that the engine room hatch shuts against. So that's where we are. All looking quite good. I'll just scan over here a bit. I've dug out the ladder here and measured its height. It fits, as far as I can tell, perfectly in this boat. So that's a teak ladder that I bought years and years ago from Popeyes in Vancouver. So it was second hand when I bought it, but it's coming in this boat. That'd be nice to have that in there. A bit dusty at the moment, but it polishes up lovely. Yeah, that's where we are. Good, time to get on. Right, so we're looking at the aft side of the number 9 bulkhead. It's the main bulkhead. I've put some fairly substantial pieces around here. Clamps all over it, as you can tell. We can pop those off fairly quickly. Different types of clamps because they've been collected over the years. Just wind them off quick sharp. That won't take too long. Get them out of the way. Good. There's a bit of breeze outside. It's quite a windy day. There's a storm that I was expecting to come because it's been quite warm recently. So normally the sign that something's coming our way in the winter. Let's get these off quick. You can see what we've got here. Good. These ones come off a bit easier. I like these clamps. It's one-hand spring clamps, so you can't get the sort of pressure that you can get with a screw clamp on them, but you don't necessarily need that much pressure. you shouldn't over clamp because you don't want to squeeze all the glue out. You want some glue left in the joint there. Good, so we're nearly there. That one comes off. And 3 more. And we'll just quickly talk about what we're looking at here. There we go. That's those off. So, we've got, first of all, the floor beam, which I showed you before, had that sort of double rebate on it. So, one piece sits down onto the ply panel. In the middle here, it sits tight to the batten that's on the other side and leaves a rebate. You're underneath, Hazel, it leaves a rebate here that the engine hatch sits against. Come back up the top. Same there, obviously. I've put some pretty substantial Douglas fir up either side there, up to underneath the aft deck beam. I think this bulkhead needs to be quite strong, and the engine hatch shuts against that. So we've got that ledge all the way around there that the hatch shuts against. I've put a Doug fir batten on here. The aft side is mahogany on the forward side. This one won't be visible, so it's just where this quarter berth sits against. As you see, I've cut this hole out here. This is my own idea. I hope it will work okay. There's for a quarter berth in here, and this will go into the cockpit coaming. So the coaming will run backwards aft, getting narrower as it goes aft, and it's getting lower as it goes aft as well. But it will give you a sense of space in this berth. And I think I'll make this berth, you've got about 26 inches between the bulkhead 8, which is the aft bulkhead of the head, and this bulkhead here. So there'll be a board for the berth, but that board will lift out and you'll be able to use it as perhaps a wet locker for hanging oilskins or whatever in there. So it'll be a sort of adaptable berth, but also possible to put a board in here and have a sleeping place, good size for one person at the very least. Believe that'll work fine. So we've got the aft deck beam coming around there. As far as I remember, there's going to be a cockpit coaming coming around there. That'll be aft deck. I've left enough to be able to sit, well, the cockpit will be about there, so I've left enough flat area that you'll be able to sit comfortably with your feet in the cockpit itself. Obviously the usual frame battens around either side there, so each one's 2 centimetres thick, plus we've got the 12mm ply, so we've got in the ends 40, 52, 2 inches almost exactly width on those frames. Obviously the ends of the deck beam still need chopping off. That's the way it looks. I'm not going to put the mahogany trim around the entrance on the outside yet. I'll do that later. So that's all that's coming on here for now. All I need to do now is clean this glue up that's oozed out. Glass and epoxy it. That'll be next weekend now. But the structure of this is done. The other side's finished. These, I say, glass and epoxy, a bit of filler here and there. And I've just got a chisel laid here, so you can see how this glue comes off. It's been on there a few days, so it's fairly firm, but it comes off quite easily. And I've got to run around doing that all the way around, obviously, to clean it up. And that's where we are with this one. So I will clean that up today, but the glass and epoxy will be next weekend. But then that'll be that one finished. And after that, we've just got as I've said before, the 10, 11, 12. They're getting progressively smaller. They only come as high as the aft deck beam anyhow, so the maximum height is that, pretty much. Obviously the boat's curving to the back to it's a double ender, so it's curving back to the aft point, so they're getting narrower and narrower and narrower as it comes back, so they're quite small. And should go quite quickly, those three, I believe. That's where we are. Good. I've cleaned this up, you know, just with a quick chisel around, so it's looking tidier. On this side, I can still see some dribbles down in the opening, but I need to turn it over for that. But that's ready for the next stage. Now, yesterday we went to the Düsseldorf boat show. It was a big show, very good, enjoyed it thoroughly. And quite impressed that there were a number of boats there on sale as cruising boats. Some very nice boats. I think it's a Sirius 35 and a Sirius 40. Lovely boats, built as cruising boats. Won, you know, best cruising boat or something from various magazines, I believe. Very nice boat. Would do the job well. But the problem is, I think the 35 cost $250,000, basically speaking. In its basic setup, you know, you can go above that if you want more extras, and it raises a few questions, doesn't it? You know, we've got to ask ourselves, who's going to do it? You know, if there are YouTube has led quite a generation, I think, to the idea of cruising. More and more people interested in going off in sailboats and travelling around. You know, think of Delos, who do a marvellous job of portraying the cruising lifestyle. But again, I think don't quote me, but I believe I'm right in saying that Delos cost Brian's the owner of Delos, I think cost him $250,000 again. You know, we're talking big bucks, and they portray, I say, a marvellous job of portraying the cruising lifestyle. But if we're looking at $250,000 for a boat, it's not accessible to everybody by any means, isn't it? The average person can't even dream of raising $250,000. So what options are there? Now, clearly, if you look at the second-hand boat market, you can get something significantly cheaper. You know, 40, 50,000, you'll get yourself a reasonable boat. The other option you've got is to build. Second-hand, you can buy cheap second-hand, buy a fixer-upper, or you can buy something, you know, that's decent. You're looking at 40, 50 grand, as I say, maybe 30 if you're lucky. Or you can build yourself. And so what I'm trying to do here with this boat is the style of boat, the Benford Dories. They're proven cruising boats. There's been several of them that have cruised extensively. No sensible person could doubt their cruising ability. It's a boat that's designed to be built really quite simply. You don't need excessive, brilliant skills to build this boat. You've got to have a bit of idea, clearly. But it's not that hard to build. And I'm trying to put this together as a cruising boat on a budget for a normal person such as myself. You know, it's designed, again, the boat's been designed to be framed with Doug fir. The ply you choose is up to you. You know, as I've said a few times, I'm using exterior grade. It's sold as pine. I'm not sure what softwood it is, but some kind of softwood ply. I've checked this ply out. It's good. I'm happy with it entirely. There are no voids at all in it. It's waterproof glued. It'll be fine. Other people will tell you it won't work. But as I've said before, I'm not prepared to go down the road of tropical hardwoods. You know, sailing is an environmentally friendly activity, or at least it could be. It isn't always, but it could be. And I certainly am not prepared to cause tropical forest to be chopped down for my boat. We can build with local materials. That's what people have done for centuries, build using local materials. There's no reason why we should be shipping wood halfway around the world to build a boat. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to show you the way I'm going about building what I believe to be a relatively environmentally friendly boat on a relatively small budget. You know, the design suits that, the materials suit that, I believe. and I hope to get it together and show that it's possible to do on a reasonable budget. You know, if you've got $250,000, go and buy yourself a Sirius, but not many of us have we? And ordinary people want to get out there and have a look around as well, I'm sure.
Riches in the sunset, standing at the sea. Tell me where you're going so decisively. What's your destination? Tell me where you're bound. We can move together where adventures abound. Running free before the breeze. Are there many days such as these?